How's it going, guys? This is the Core 3 from fightinggameonline.info, and this is another episode of Fighting Game Tips and Definitions. This is the third video in the series, and we're going to be talking about command normals, special moves, and Kara. So hopefully you have now kind of worked with your normals and you have a grasp of how they work and have a better understanding of how you should use them. But there's one more normal that we need to talk about before we go into specials, and that is command normals. Command normals are somewhat similar to special moves as they require an additional input to activate. In most cases, they require the press of a directional button and a normal. Now, command normals can work in many different ways. Some are designed to hit crouch guarding opponents, and let me just kind of show you this, give you the first one. Oh, gotta turn on. So if you notice, basically he's kind of blocking, kind of standing up to block rather than blocking in the crouch position, as you can see here. So that's kind of how you can tell it's crouch. It's hitting the crouch guarding opponent. There's others that can also cover a greater amount of space. So let me show you that one. So as you can see, he's kind of, here's like a strong normal here, pretty good distance, but I'll hit this, it's on the same button, and as you can see, it's a little bit further. It hits a little bit further. All right, let me just restart that. In some cases, you can also cancel certain command normals, right? So the one I just showed you, basically, hold on, let me take him off a block. The one I just showed you here can be canceled into a special move. Okay. All right. So that's pretty much it for your command normals. All right. Now, special moves give you give your characters access to more powerful attacks. In some ways, special moves act as an extension of normals because they cover a greater amount of space. All right. So let's say your opponent uses an unsafe move that has slow recovery. Depending on where you are, you may not be in an optimal range to punish this mistake with the normal, but it is possible that one of your special moves will. All right. Oops. Right. As you might have already noticed, unlike normal, special moves can often cause a knockdown on hit. In other cases, they can be the start of a very damaging combo, which is something I'll talk about in later videos. Like normals, special moves are often tied to strengths. This is important because each strength can have a different property. So I'm just going to show you basically Ryu's basic fireball, right? So I'm going to show you the weak version of his fireball. All right. Now here's the medium version. All right. And then lastly, this is the strong version. And of course, what you should note is as each time I choose, higher strength, the fireball starts to travel a little bit faster. So there's the weak version, the medium version, and the strong version. Okay. All right. And that's going to be kind of very important, for certain strategies when you're throwing those type of fireballs. Same thing for his other move, which is a whirlwind kick, right? So that's the weak version of the whirlwind kick. This is the strong version. I mean, sorry, not the strong version. That's the medium version of it. And then this is the strong version, which travels pretty much the whole length of the screen. All right. So basically, you have an idea about, those strengths and those specials or whatever. All right. So like normals, special moves have frame data, which means they're privy to the same startup and recovery functions in most cases. All right. So special moves, unlike, normals, special moves are a lot more unsafe after being blocked. and can be punished a lot more severely compared to those normals. All right. Certain fighting games have a mechanic that can enhance the special moves for a character. This is mainly known as EX due to Capcom making it popular, making the term popular with Street Fighter 3. But you'll find that the term may be different for each fighting game. Okay, so let me just give you an example here. Now you have, Ryu's normal fireball, and then you got the EX fireball. And of course, what you'll notice about the EX fireball is that it's knocking the opponent down. All right. So most EX specials require meter of some sort, or sometimes it requires certain power-ups to access. And in most cases, you'll find that they can, extend a combo or create a knockdown situation that wasn't available with the basic attack, like I just showed, with the basic special. All right. So there's just another version of that. All right. There's one more thing I want to discuss before concluding. Take a look at this normal attack. Okay, take a look at this. Well, I wouldn't say normal attack with the command normal attack, right? Now, what do you notice about this attack, right? And I'll just give you a second to kind of think about it. Okay. Basically, the character is moving very slightly, right? Now, I've mentioned that certain characters have some unique forms of movement, but certain character attacks can also have unique movement in them as well. Movement that can be used in some pretty interesting ways. As I discussed previously, weak normals require you to be as close to the opponent as possible. Oftentimes, basic movement may not be fast enough to get you that close enough to your opponent after you knock them down. And let me just show you what I mean by that. Right? So he has a move here. If I can remember how to do it, that knocks the character back a pretty decent way. So if I try to kind of dash up on the opponent, not as much, I get pretty close, but not as close as I could get, right? But let's say I use, for instance, his Tatsu, right? That gets me a lot closer than just doing the normal dash, right? Or, well, that gets you in a certain distance, but not really good enough. So we're going to stick to the Tatsu thing, basically. So the Tatsu thing looks like it's a pretty good, unique movement for that situation, right? So I can, once again, kind of do use this, and I can get a lot closer in order to do certain moves, especially if I want to use like a close normal, right? Okay, in other cases, a normal with unique movement can be canceled into another move extending the distance of that attack. All right, and so I'm going to use Terry here as an example, right? He has, all the characters basically have this universal, this universal command normal, basically that basically is called like a blowback attack, right? And normally it's used for just basically blowing, basically pushing back the enemy. But as you probably already noticed, it also has its own unique movement, right? That's kind of allowing him to move forward, right? So Terry has a move called Burning Knuckle, right? And basically Burning Knuckle, has basically two variations. It has a weak, and it has, a weak attack, and it has a strong attack, right? So the strong attack, of course, allows you to move much further across the screen. So we'll say about here, right? Gives you a good distance, where of course the weak attack, not as much distance as the strong attack, right? But then the question becomes, is there a way to possibly, because the weaker attack has a much faster startup, right? It's often the better move to use. So then the question becomes, how can we make use of the weak attack rather than having to use, what you call like the dangerous one, which is you know, the one that takes more risk, which is the stronger attack, right? Which is not as safe, right? And basically the way you can do that is through using that normal that we were talking about, right? So let's see this from this range. We'll try the weak attack from here. And what you notice is that you can't reach, right? But if I do it again using the command normal, right? What you notice is that it does reach now, right? So I'll just do that again just in case you kind of missed that, right? So here is the regular weak attack, right? And then here is me putting basically the command normal behind it. Oops, messed that one up. And there you go, right? This unique attack movement is what's known as kara, the Japanese meaning for empty. Kara basically lends itself to your attacks, okay? So that's pretty much it for part 3. Be sure to take what you've learned today and figure out how to apply it to your character. Once you've grasped this concept, head to the next video where I'll talk more about spacing and how it relates to both the environment around you and your character of choice.